All right, we told you about the new style batteries they have in the Automowers, pretty much across the board. They started in 2020 using these encapsulated lithium-ion battery packs in all the Automowers now here in North America. But what we wanted to show you with this is a 450XH, and it's got the two battery packs. If you had a 430 or a 430XH, you would only have one of them in there instead of the two. But the big thing with these battery packs is it wasn't just a change in the batteries. It was a change in a lot of other stuff that you might not realize or may never know if you don't tear your mower apart and ever see the inside of it. But one of the big changes, as we mentioned in our video about the batteries, is they have this harness that goes from the battery to the motherboard. And that was originally incorporated into the old blue style battery packs and the old black ones in the 300 series Automowers. Now that harness is a separate unit there. That is a separate part number. You can order that separately. When you order a battery, it does not come with that harness. The other thing here to look at on the top of this is the harness runs through these little tabs that they put into the battery cradle. So it holds them in place nice and secure, and there's no mess. And you can see it's just a lot cleaner back here compared to the old style. There's more room to work with. You can see down in there between the battery packs and the motherboards. On the old blue style batteries, that was a pretty tight fit right there. So they opened that up. That keeps everything, just gives you a little bit more distance, and it gives a little bit more airflow through there to keep your motherboard cool, and it protects your batteries because they got the heavier housing on them. Then over here on the side, you can see that they also incorporated the tabs into the bottom part of that mower cradle, along with this arch here over the wheel motor to sturdy everything up a little bit more. This is going to help to strengthen up your lower chassis because it's bolted down to that lower chassis, and it's right in a spot where the wheel motor would be able to cause probably some flex in that chassis. So that helps out the lower chassis, and it helps out your wires because these tabs are holding the wires in place instead of more of these little wire ties. And if you ever had to replace a wheel motor in one of the older style mowers, like an original style 430X or 450X, you know that one of the biggest pains was the harness for the wheel motor, which plugs in here and goes in with all these other all these other wires down into the wheel motor. There was always a zip tie or wire tie right around here that held everything together, and you had to carefully cut that without slicing in or nicking any of the other wires in there or that ribbon cable or anything like that, because if you did, that would cause some damage either right then and there if you cut it, or if you nicked it over time. Condensation, moisture, could cause some corrosion and cause resistance in there and give you some problems and set off some goofy alarms. There was also reports of some of these wire ties from the factory that were pulled just a little bit too tight, and over time from the vibration they would start to cut into the wires, or you would have that deal where somebody would just unknowingly go to try to pull their wheel motor out, and they didn't realize that everything was plugged in back here at the main board and everything was wire tied together. So when they did that, it would just yank on all those wires and cut into them and just cause some havoc that was unexpected, and the mechanic might not have known what to look for after they took it to the mechanic and said, "Hey, I tried to pull my wheel motor out." But at any rate, that's this side here, and then we'll show you on this side of the Automower. They did the same thing. Have this bridged across the wheel motor here, and extra support. Got the tabs there, so all your cables and wires for your cutting system run right through there. Cut way down on the wire ties there that are needed, and it still holds everything nice and secure and in place. But again, you can see back here, this is all pretty open now, and it's going to just allow more airflow to get in there and keep that main board nice and cool, because that's the last thing you want is your electronics getting warm or overheated, because that'll cause a lot of damage that you won't be able to diagnose in some cases. Once it cools down, it might start acting normal, and it'll just reduce a lot of those headaches that you might have had trying to figure out what your problem was. So this is a much better design here, just in every possible way. The batteries are safe and protected. The wires are now more protected and more secure and separate a little bit better. They have less ways to vibrate and shake around and less things to come in contact with. So overall, this is a great design here compared to the old ones. And if you're buying a newer Automower and it's a 2020 model or newer, hey, buy with confidence because you know you're getting a better design than the older ones.